I'm Alanis here talking today with Tunic, talking to.
David Schellenberg.
So,
I Go ahead.
yeah, sorry. So I was gonna say, your album "Harmony of Loss Has Been Sung" has been one of my favorite albums of the year so far. It is such a powerful piece of just this non-stop grinding wheel of emotions and like true tour de force of like noise and such a formless album in my opinion because it just feels like such a flurry of like emotion that just like can't stop. So I was kind of wondering like what the process for recording this record was because it feels a lot heavier and more intense than the previous releases from Tunic.
hmm I mean, thank you, first of all, uh, for those nice words. I mean, recording was pretty, pretty standard, to be honest. There was nothing, I mean, there's some unique parts of it, but really it was just, we brought up Seth Manchester, who we worked with before on Wrong Dream, and we did it here in Winnipeg at a studio just a few blocks away from my house. And it was kind of just the usual, like tracking it and doing that. The biggest thing was the vocals that we did differently. I kind of just like gave sermons to like a room full of microphones. We probably set up like 16 different microphones, and I just like read the lyrics off my hand and sort of just did these sort of more like theatrical vocals versus from the previous records. And so then it was sort of really cool to sort of just collage them together and sort of and do them that way. And then we did all the that was sort of all the shouty, yelly, talky stuff, and then all the very quiet stuff I did like very much like podcast, like ASMR style, where I was like on a mic very close. But no, we just went in and tracked it. The writing of the record was, I think we were actually, I was talking to Tomas about this the other day. We wrote all the songs in standard tuning, or maybe we wrote it in drop D, and he was just like, "Why don't we put it to drop C?" So then we just went to drop C, and then we're just like, "This should just be heavier." And we're just like, "Okay."
Yeah,
And so then we just played everything exactly the same, but just in drop C instead.
yeah, and that heaviness definitely does come through because like I said, it's such a like it reminded me a lot of like early Swans, where it's
Oh,
like
awesome.
some stuff that's just like super heavy, but not in a way that you would expect. Not in a way you would expect if you described like a heavy album to somebody. Like they might expect something that's like more metal based, but just feels like a a weight of like the gravity of like a mountain being pressed down on you. Like heavy
Oh,
in terms of that. The and also like the sound like the amount of like dynamic expansion and contraction that goes now like there's parts that are just so loud and so like heavy but then they just shrink and go all the way at the same time. This is constant pushing and pulling and tension. What were some of the inspirations sonically going into this?
sure. I mean, early Swans, and later era Swans, not middle Swans. But yeah, a lot of that. I mean, I really, with this record, I wanted power and I wanted force. And what I didn't want was riffs.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't want is we focused so much on rhythm on this record, and I wanted the kick drum to be the catchiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted I didn't, and we really, like, as I said in the bio of this record, like we wrote this record like sort of like together in a room where we just got together for like 8 hours at a time, and we just like pushed each other sonically, and it it was quite difficult at times since
Mm-hmm.
Tomas is such a who plays bass, has such an incredible ear for melody, and so he'd just be like, "What about something like this?" I'm like, "No, worse, less. Play that exact same riff again, but play it on one note."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. So like a lot of sort of this like maximalist, but also minimalist,
Mm-hmm.
like sort of like I think Big Brave does a really great job of stuff like that too. Matthew writes wonderful songs with just really like one or two chords in it and just never like a riff. Um, so yeah, I mean, Lost Swans, a lot of just rhythm. Rhythm was the biggest. Rhythm and power were the two biggest sort of sonic things, and I wanted it to be as big as possible and also as little as possible. and a long time ago already. That when we wrote it, to be honest, I think we wrote it in spring of like as Wrong Dream was coming out, so it's been quite a while already.
Yeah, there's definitely. I think I remember reading in one of the bios. It's like there will be no choruses found on anywhere on this record. There will be no melodies, no moments of joy whatsoever. And I read that, and I listened to Wrong Dream in the past, and I was like, oh, Tunic, I think I've heard that. And then I put on the record, and I was like completely blown away. First time I heard it, I was driving back from work one night, and it was just like, uh, yeah. So like, there are these like underlying beats and rhythms, and like that drum kick is especially so powerful. So when you say you wanted to center around the drum kick, it's like that's such a through line through the album is that kick drum, like almost like a frantic heartbeat that's like trying to calm down because it's just trying to like catch up to what it's experiencing almost. Because like every song has that like high and low and that give and take. Um, what like what has been the general reaction to the album so far? How have people been responding to something that's like kind of abrasive like this, with no choruses, no melodies, not such a typical strong structure, but being more so avant-garde and raw like this?
I think I think it's been pretty good. It's been hard not hard not to tour the record. That was a bummer, but my wife was pregnant, so I decided to stay home, which is the right thing to do. And now we have a beautiful child, and it's not like we'll go on tour again. But later on, after it's been good. It's interesting because we put it out ourselves on like on our own label, and so like I sometimes maybe worry that it doesn't have the amount of reach that it did as previous records did, but it's been overall positive. Um, I am also like a rate your music head, so I sometimes just pop on there to see what people
Same.
are saying, and yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like that's the wheelhouse that we operate in as people, and so it's funny to just see people like rate it or give a reviews on there, and I'm just like, oh, I'm cool. Like like I really made this record for me, and I wanted to try something else and do something special, and so I think we accomplished that. And yeah, I was kind of just over the formulaic style of writing music. I was just it's not that's kind of just got boring to me. I mean, this is our fourth record. Not a lot of bands get there, so
Yeah. Rate Your Music is also how I found Tunic in the first place.
oh, cool,
Um,
perfect.
I think it was like a list that like in like 2021 that was like Daughters is Never Getting Back. Here's like 10 noise bands that are better than them, and Complexion was one of them on that list.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
And
interesting.
I was like, oh, let me check this out. And that's how I found it. And then like years later, I got into like Wrong Dream. And then when this album came out, I saw like the bio and re-listened to it. I'm like, oh, this is great. But yeah, Rate Your Music is for me at work, I have like three monitors, and one of them is like RYM slash like Moo
Oh,
at all
okay.
time. Yeah, so like, and then people come by like at the office, and like, what are you doing? I'm like, reading about a noise band from Winnipeg, and they're like, oh, you hear that new Olivia Rodrigo song? I'm like, yeah, it's catchy. You want to hear an
Yeah.
album with no choruses?
Yeah, no, I don't. With a guy who just who's tone deaf, sure. But no, I mean, I use it to find the odd thing here or there, and when I want to like go further down like a rabbit hole on a genre or something like that. I will say it was funny. It must have been before all that daughter stuff when Nick from Daughters followed us on Instagram and just like said, "This sounds sick." I'm like, "Well, I am ripping off your guitar playing," so
Yeah,
like,
yeah, Human Impact recently like just followed me on Instagram, and I was like blown away by that, and I was like, wow, okay, one of my favorite drummers' new project is like following me.
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So like you talked about how you like not touring the album felt like kind of like you're missing out on something. Do you plan on doing live shows at some point with this record?
Yeah, I mean we're writing a new record right now, because I have an addiction to being creative, I guess, and to writing records. Um, so we'll probably when we tour the new record, we'll probably just like split it half and half and
Mhm.
kind of. I'm thinking about retiring sort of the first three records
Oh,
and
okay.
just like I mean, I wrote. I've been playing Disappointment for I don't know, like 8, 9 years. Like
Yeah.
I'm good. But like, maybe, and also, the new record, like Harmony is in a different tuning than, and I don't know how many guitars I want to bring on tour,
Hmm.
yada yada. And so it's just sort of, uh, yeah. So I think, right now in my head, when we tour this record we're working on right now, we'll also play a bunch of stuff from Harmony and a bunch of new stuff, and maybe won't play so much of the first three stuff, maybe.
Nice. So you talk about putting out new music, and Harmony just came out in February. So and you said the writing process had been going on for like a long while. How long was that gap between the release and the writing process of the record?
Oh, super long, to be honest. We we started writing Harmony in spring of 2023. We recorded it in the summer, at the end of summer of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sat for a year and a half, which I think it's pretty much how all of our records have sat for at least a year and a half after we've made them. I always kind of like to be a record ahead. I
Yeah.
don't know how possible that will be now with having a child, but yeah, I remember Quitter came out, and then next week we were recording Wrong Dream. I remember it's like it's yeah, it's fun. But yeah, we sat on it for a long time, and it's one of those things where I just don't listen to it
Yeah.
until we have to relearn the songs to practice and play live again.
So whenever you go back to like re-listen to something you may have sat on for a while, are you ever just like impressed by what you wrote and go, "Wow, I wrote that," or "I did that," or like, "What was I thinking when I came up with that?"
I'm mostly just like, damn, this is heavy, or this could be heavier. Like that's all. Like I'm never like, or what I also do is I'm like, I was ripping off this when I wrote this, and I think about this, or this is like the sonic idea I took from. I don't know if I'm ever impressed with myself because I mean, I've been told I'm a bad musician, and that's the whole reason Tunic exists. Blah blah blah.
Sure.
That's a long backstory, but whenever I listen back, I'm like, it's cool that I made this. Like, it's awesome that like it's actually absolutely wild to look back and see like just look at the discography and like there's like 70s. I'm like I've written 70 songs that are in the world. It's like that's weird. Like that's impressive to me.
Yeah.
It's just like cool. I'm too dumb to give up. So
Yeah, 70 songs and counting. So, with the new record, do you plan on continuing down this like kind of the same kind of path you were going on with Harmony, or do you plan on maybe bringing some older styles back or innovating in an even new direction?
it's going further down
Mm.
the
Okay.
harmony rabbit hole
Okay.
of
Cool.
um I mean, like I said, like Harmony was the fourth record. This fifth record we're working on, I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Like let's just like I just want to make something. All I want to do is make something that is absolutely just punishing. Like all I want is to make something that's just so heavy and fun and interesting to me and collaborate with the people in the room. And so it's yeah, it's gonna go, right now the way it's going, it's gonna go further down. Um so sort of like the darkest parts of Harmony is like kind of what we're zooming in on right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very excited to hear and listen to that because the idea of going down the rabbit hole even further is something that's always like this to me is already a pretty an album that pushes people pretty like hard sonically. So to go even beyond that is like it's exciting to see what's beyond that because there's not many things, at least in the contemporary scape, that I would compare like that do that. And the way you're describing so comfortably is like, oh yeah, this is just the next logical step is to go even further beyond. Um,
Yeah.
so, speaking of rate your music, I pulled it up while we were talking. What right now, Harmony is currently the highest rated album that you've released as a 4.2. So
Wow.
yeah, so progressively your ratings have been going up according to RYM here. How does it feel to know that you're getting better, like better as a songwriter as it goes on? The more experimental you get, you're seeing like a more positive, like critical reaction of like music nerds.
It feels great. In short, it feels great, but also it's maybe that's like the impressive or rewarding thing where I feel like maybe I'm not really pandering to anyone. And as I get old, like, or any sort of like subgenre or whatever, I'm just going to make what I want to make. And we're just going to make what we want to make in this room. And it's cool that people are coming along for it. And, no, and I'm also like, I'm older now. Like, I bought a guitar to make this band. I was a bass player before. And so, like, I hope I keep evolving and making more interesting art as I develop. And so I'm just happy that people also feel that way too.
Yeah. Also, speaking of, you're talking about like you don't want to get bogged down in like subgenres. Imagine telling somebody, "Hey, what kind of music do you make?" Noise rock, pig fuck, post-hardcore. They go, "What's that?" And he goes, "There's like 15 people on a database that know about what that genre is. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. So yeah, pink fuck, even when I saw that tag, I was just like, sure, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Like I was like, I don't know. It's one that's like with being Canadian, we have to cross into the US and we have to have a little border guard
Mm,
conversation. People are like, what type of band are you? We're like, oh, we're a rock band.
yeah.
Like, just have to it's like, oh, and then it's like we're a punk band, and then some people will be like the Descendants. I'm like, sure,
Like the
whatever you got.
Descendants, yeah.
Or like I played in this other band a long, long time ago that was like an indie rock thing, and someone's like,
Mm,
"What does it sound like?" And I'm like, "Bruce Springsteen, sir. It sounds just like the boss." And he's just like,
there you go.
come on in, fellas." Like it was
It's
just
like the
like,
most American answer you can give.
yes, it was very intentional.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going after my hero, the boss, New Jersey #1 finest. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So to kind of wrap things up, what is the Tunic song that you're most proud of at the moment?
I think I have two answers.
Okay.
One, someone recently asked me about I forget what it's called, but it's the last song on Wrong Dream, which is Empty Husk, which is the big like 7 minute long, very sort of like pretty song, and that's just something I never really thought that we would be able to get away with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Harmony, I'm a big fan of Sharpening of a Blade. I think it's I don't know. I think it's awesome. I think the production of the record,
Mm-hmm.
of those little shots there when we did like when we just hit chunks of metal and Seth sort of spliced them into super weird, and there's all these like also dumb dive bombs that are in the background of
Mm-hmm.
like after that sort of spoken word part that are really dumb. So really, I feel like I'm like there's a song I made that I wanted to make and now it exists. Like that's something that like it's one chord, it's one bass note for that first like half of the song, and then there's just like this middle section of just talking in these. And it's originally done with just shots on a guitar, and then on the record it ended up being shots of just us hitting metal and stuff. And so I just think it sounds really cool. I think it takes a really cool turn, and I'm proud of that of that recording of the song.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you very much for talking today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.